The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is my favorite game of all time. It is far from the first open-world game that captured the attention of gaming fans, and I'm sure it is far from the last, but there is one thing that sets Breath of the Wild apart from these other fantastic open-world adventures, something that allows it to stand alone as the best game I have ever played. This aspect of the game cannot be boiled down to a single feature or design choice, but rather, what makes this game unique is the intangible feeling instilled in the player when they get lost. I am not patient when it comes to games. Especially when I was younger, I would find myself playing big games with expansive worlds and a million different quests to complete. But my desire to explore would quickly get me lost, and I'd wind up hours off the beaten path. I would become frustrated at the thought of retracing my steps and backtracking all the way back to the last landmark, so instead I would just set the game down and quit. Breath of the Wild, however, was a different experience. Like other open-world games, Breath of the Wild encourages players to explore and carve out their own path through the world. But Breath of the Wild has its own way of making players feel comfortable in the environment, allowing you to completely immerse yourself in the world of Hyrule without feeling as though you are just wasting time. One way in which Breath of the Wild inspires this sense of comfort is by rewarding the player for following their instincts and losing themselves in the game's environment. The game actually rewards you in several different ways when exploring off the path, namely with shrines and Koroks. If you are at all familiar with the game, I don't need to go into too much depth on these things, but they are both important resources that the player can discover scattered in all sorts of places throughout Hyrule. First of all, shrines are introduced early on, and with 120 of them in the game, they are a part of your experience throughout your entire playthrough. Undiscovered shrines are represented by big structures that emanate an orange light, meaning they should be easy to spot, but some of them are well hidden or require a puzzle to be solved in order to uncover them. This means that no matter where you are on the map, it's possible there's a shrine on your horizon, promising rewards of a spirit orb and items. In addition, each shrine serves as a short escape from your adventure, as once inside you are taken underground to a specially designed room meant to challenge the hero of Hyrule. In a way, this feels like a chance for the developers to say, hey, here's an isolated piece of good puzzle design, have fun. And although some shrines are more entertaining than others, placing these creative little puzzles all around the world for players to discover on their own is a fantastic way to motivate players to explore and reward those who are willing to. But if we're talking about players following their instincts, even when it leads them way out into the wild, we have to talk about Koroks. Koroks are hidden in a number of ways. Some are under rocks, some are in trees. Sometimes you'll have to chase an odd-looking flower across a cliff, or dive through a circle of rocks. But one thing is for sure, Koroks are everywhere. The reward you get for finding one is a Korok seed, which can be used to upgrade your inventory, allowing you to carry more weapons or shields. But the reward itself isn't the highlight here. It's the sense of accomplishment you get for finding these guys, just because you happen to feel compelled to climb that tree or investigate that weird flower. Due to the abundance of Koroks, the game encourages you to literally leave no stone unturned, and more often than not, no matter how far off course you are, you will be rewarded. My first experience with Koroks came on my very first day with the game, nearly 2 years ago. I got to the first place you are told to go in the game, the Temple of Time, and for no particular reason, I looked at the temple, sized it up, and said, I bet I could climb that. So I did, and after struggling to get to the top, I finally made it, and boom, found a Korok. I can't explain why I felt the urge to climb the first structure I found in the game, and I certainly didn't expect a reward for it, but amazingly, in Breath of the Wild, you will be rewarded just for exploring and doing the things that you feel compelled to do. Despite having all of this stuff to find out in the wild, the game still does an excellent job of keeping you grounded. So if at any point you do get tired of hunting down Koroks and shrines, you can quickly and easily get yourself back on track. This is accomplished by having a story that guides you forward in a few predetermined directions. Completing the story does not have to be your immediate focus if you don't want it to be. However, the game provides you with main quest objectives that are always readily available when you open the menu. and selecting these objectives will place a marker on your map telling you where to go. Leaving these visible markers on the map gives you a clear goal to reach, even if you inevitably get distracted and find yourself halfway across the map. In this way, the markers allow the game to subtly push players in the right direction, without discouraging them from exploring and getting lost along the way. A less noticeable aspect of the game which I feel helped to create this unique atmosphere in the wilderness of Breath of the Wild is the soundtrack. The soundtrack is minimalistic, often relying on not much more than piano, yet it is always present in the background of your adventure, and always changing as you traverse Hyrule. The reason this soundtrack stands out to me is because the usage of different songs provides clues as to what is nearby the player, whether it is a great fairy fountain, a traveling bird named Cass, or, more frighteningly, an impending guardian attack. These are things you encounter multiple times throughout Hyrule, but after just one encounter, players can recognize each associated song. This further enables players to feel at home when they are lost in the wilderness of Breath of the Wild, as hearing a familiar tune prepares you for what is ahead, allowing you to uncover secrets, avoid conflict, or tackle it head-on. One final design choice that helps players out in the wild, making it easier to feel comfortable while exploring, is the usage of towers. As you journey across the map for the first time, towers represent a clear landmark for you to reach, and with 15 of them scattered about Hyrule, there is almost always at least one visible that players can strive to get to. Each tower comes with its own challenge of how to reach it and climb to the top safely, but once you have scaled the structure, your reward is twofold. Most noticeably, you will unlock a new piece of the map, aiding you in any future explorations of the area. But beyond that, these towers are exactly that, towers, providing a high vantage point that allows you to see farther than ever and plan out the next steps of your adventure. There is so much to see from the top of each tower that I can't remember a single time when I climbed one and didn't immediately notice something new to investigate down below. Like the game's story, this gives players a sense of direction, even when you are seemingly in the middle of nowhere. Plus, the extra visibility you gain from climbing each tower, through both unlocking more of the map and being able to see for miles, continues to reward players who are willing to venture off the beaten path. All of these factors, from Koroks to shrines, towers, story, and music, combine to create a truly unique experience in Breath of the Wild. It's hard to put into words the magical feeling of a game that not only holds your attention, but actively excites you and fills you with a childlike sense of wonder as you navigate its world. In reality, half of my time playing Breath of the Wild has probably been spent just flipping over rocks or ignoring my objective to see what's over that hill over there. But the beautiful thing about Breath of the Wild is that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you are in the world or what you're trying to do, because there will always be Koroks to find, puzzles to solve, and places where you can just lose yourself and explore.